Yo, what up? I guess it's just me in the stream for the moment. If you're out there in the chat, just getting set up. And be with it shortly. Nobody's even home yet. Interesting. All right. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another edition of the Wednesday night stream. Jay here. You knew that already. And coming around, this is the last week of Mike's official social media blackout. So I'm going to try to touch base with him again tonight. But I talked to him today and it sounds like he's doing real well and he's ready to get back on the horse and do the YouTube thing full steam ahead for the 2019 season. So yeah, what's been going on out there? Oh yeah, painting, like interior paint, house. That's cool. Oh, that's awesome. We built out a small shop too. That's really good. I literally just rolled in from picking up some repairs after having, last week was a pretty dry week for incoming stuff, but I got slammed at the head of this week. Like a whole house full of shit to fix. Oh, word. That's awesome. That's really good. So you can work in your own space on your own time then. Excellent. So yeah, I don't know how long we'll be on tonight, but we'll, before I sign off, like I said, we're going to try to get a hold of Mike for a few minutes. I know he's got one of his buddies in from out of town and shit, so he's yeah. What the fuck this thing's doing? Try to monitor the chat on this fucking tablet. For some reason it's yeah, things on my end, like I said, last week was sort of dry spell. You know, waiting for things to come in and shit to happen. Had some pieces come in that, you know, I don't know, it seems cyclic. There's very often things that come in that I can turn around in a couple of days or less than a week, and then, you know, it seems like there's a few times a year where I get slammed with all this stuff that's like, you know, one thing I gotta have a transformer custom made for, so that's like several weeks. There's shit that like customers are hard to get a hold of to get okays on estimates, so there's things that are going to sit around for a while. I hate shit like that because it all just stacks up and you look at it every day. But you know, there's been a couple things that came in that weren't too bad. And there's been a couple things that came in actually recently that I wasn't able to fix, which is a sort of a unusual occurrence. Guy had an amplifier that he uses for a vibraphone. Vibraphone's got a pickup in it somehow. And I hooked the amp up to my guitar and my bass and tone generators and the oscilloscope, and I could get nothing negative out of it. And so I cleaned it up. Cleaned the pots and switches and things, and tested through the circuit anyway, found nothing, gave it back to the guy, and you know, sort of let him test run it and see. And was the same deal, so I got it back again. I went through it again, ran even more tests on it, even, you know, borrowed test equipment and shit. Still found nothing. So this problem only exists with this fiber phone. And he very quickly ran out of patience with that process, so I sort of gave it back, and that's the end of that. I'm not going to work on it any further. But I hate shit like that. I don't like projects left unfinished in that way. It, you know, does make me feel positive about things, but, you know, to fix problems, I got to be able to reproduce those problems and then identify them. So, in that guy's case, there really wasn't much I could do for him. I mean, you know, usually I would go to somebody's house and check the stuff out if it was an issue like that. But this particular customer happens to be like about a 45-minute drive from here. And since I'm just gonna hang my cord up on this a little bit. And since I didn't make any money on the work that I did do already, you know, here for ride up 45 minutes up the line into the woods and, you know, either not be able to diagnose it based on what I hear or whatever and still not get paid for it really didn't make any sense. And as you may or may not know, depending on what your job status is, if you have seasonal work and things, winter are always slow times, which means money's always tighter. So to you know, throw 45 minutes ride, that's gas money, and you know, whatever, that's something that you might not be able to do or accurately pin out anyway. Didn't make a lot of sense to me. And I hate just going at shit and changing parts, you know. I could have charged that guy, you know. Well, the connections dropped. I don't know, it's still showing up on my end. Yeah, it looks good here. You're not hearing me anymore? I'm hooked to Wi-Fi here, so it should be solid. It's showing up on the stupid tablet in my hand, so I think we're okay. But yeah, anyway, so there was that, and then I had another one come in that's going to be a long term. That's the one with the transformer rewind that I was talking about. It's like a 1980s Laney amp, and there are no replacement power transformers available for it, and that one's dead. So Mercury Magnetics now has the broken, whatever, the burned out one, and they're taking it apart and building a brand new one for it. So that's going to be a who the hell knows how long kind of project. But, you know, those are the breaks, I guess. And we're looking at 8 to 12 inches of snow coming in this weekend, so that's going to be fun. So, you guys still got me out there? Oh, it's snowing already? Alright, nice. Yeah, that snow is going to be some shit. I guess it's like a nor'easter blowing through or whatever, so we're finally going to get our asses kicked, but it's kind of flurrying out tonight, but it at least warmed up a little today, so that was nice. Broke freezing for the first time in a while. But, you know, it is what it is. It's winter. It's a little quiet for you, Matt. I could move the phone closer to me, I guess. Yeah, I got the cameras aimed in like a different direction right now, so behind me is there's a little piece of the yard and the road kind of curves around it. So yeah, you might see some cars. But yeah, so I think I was talking to Mike after the stream last week, and I think when we stream from my town, we're gonna probably do it from here from now on. The lighting's a lot better, and obviously we can connect to the Wi-Fi and shit, so it seems like it's gonna be the way to go. But I thought if I set it up like this, you know, I'd put Mike over there and I'd be here, it'd be kind of like how we set up at his house, with the table in between and whatnot, which seems, you know, seems like it'd be kind of cool. I definitely enjoyed streaming from here last week, rather than trying to do it from the studio with the fucking Wi-Fi connection and everything else. I'm just going to zoom it in a little bit and see if that helps the overall. I know most of you guys can hear me, but if Matt can't, we'll see what we can do to adjust it. You'll probably see brake lights go by here again in just a second too. The studio is actually across town. The house that I'm in right now is right next door to my house, basically. I live on a property that's, hey, what's going on? I live on a property that's got a bunch of summer rental cottages on it. And then like the main house, which is an old farmhouse with additions on it, is where where my landlords stayed on weekends. But they haven't been up in like over a year now, and the house just pretty much sits here empty. It makes sense to, you know, to use the space at least while it's available. So this is the dining area of the kitchen, basically. Behind me, that island is a cooktop, and it's got like a pop-up range vent, and then wall-mounted ovens on the wall behind that, whatever. But am I close to water? Yeah, there's a creek that's a couple hundred feet away from where we are right now, but no lake. No pond either. There's I don't know, there's like a swamp kind of area around here, but it's not really a pond or a lake. It's usually just kind of like marshland, and then every once in a while it fills up with water. Why do you ask, though? Yeah, the only shit part about being in this kitchen is I keep hearing the fucking refrigerator run and the heating pipes clicking and stuff. It looks like a house that would be on a lake, yeah. The part I'm sitting in actually is the original kitchen, and where the camera is, just off to the side over here, there's like a wall that has cabinets and shelves and shit on it. So basically where the camera is used to be the front door to this house, and then the area behind that was like a screened-in porch thing. And if you look back there, I don't know if you can't really see the ceiling, I guess, in the shot, but the ceiling steps up, and that also was a screened-in back porch, so it was just this center area that was part of the, you know, that was the original kitchen. And in the 90s, I guess, my father and his construction business, whatever, redid all this and put the tile down in here and built the islands and all that stuff. And punched those walls out and expanded the kitchen both ways. But it's a cool little house. It's a really fucking badass fireplace in the other room. I just don't know if the Wi-Fi would connect that far away. I'm hooked to my Wi-Fi at my house, which is 150 feet from where we're sitting at least. But yeah, it's a cool spot. Stays plenty warm in here. There's bathrooms and whatever, so it's good shit. But anyway, that sounds like it's going to be the plan when Mike's back on the stream. We're going to, anytime he's got to come up here, we're just going to do it in here instead. Got more room to spread out and the Wi-Fi and shit, so. And, hopefully that alleviates a lot of the connection issues we have when we do things from Sarby's. So what else has been going on out there in the Task Fam land? Yeah, it's definitely a better connection. It doesn't drop. There's like 3 bars on the Wi-Fi thing where we are right now, which, you know, stays put. The one less thing to worry about. And I said that's good. One less thing. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. What's the problem already? Oh, I see. With the track, you mean? And Matt, yeah, does the organ work, or is it something that you would use if it did work? Otherwise, I say part it out. Shit. And yeah, that one track, I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. I actually wonder if you couldn't maybe send that to somebody who does like budget mastering or something and get them to either multi-band compress that out or use a spectral compressor and smash it when it comes through. That could be an option. So yeah, what else did I do this week? I rebuilt a Vox Little Night Train 5-watt head. That was interesting. Came in with a bad power transformer, and again, nobody really stocks that item. And so I had to retrofit it with my standard go-to for small tube stuff, the Fender standalone reverb power transformer. Worked out nice though. Thing sounds killer. Yeah, spectral compression. It has like a spectrum analyzer at the bottom, and it allows you to set tons of different points, and you can map and adjust certain things. But it also allows you to correct phase discrepancies and to adjust certain parts of the spectrum into mono fields. So like you can put from, you know, a selectable notch down, you can turn into all mono. So like your low frequencies would be in mono, which cleans up the stereo image, helps with phase cancellation and comb filtering and shit. So that would be an option, finding somebody who has that sort of critical environment and that sort of equipment. There's a bunch of guys out there though that do mastering on the fairly cheap that have shit like that. Couple of keys and leaky caps. Wesley's awesome. Excuse me. Yeah. Yeah, I know the Wilder brand speakers. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's what the spectral layers does. I know that there are some higher end plug-in manufacturers and stuff that have limiters and shit like that. Um, how many watts the Wilder speaker might be? I would guess that based on the age, um, well, you'd have to guess at the voice coil diameter in a speaker that old. Honestly, it's going to be a paper former. Um, if it's inch and a half, which it probably is, 30 watts would be the top of it. If it's like 1 inch or so, could be inch and a quarter also. I don't think I would give that much more than maybe 15 or 20 watts. But remember, when it comes to a, yeah, if it's an inch and a half, 30 watts is probably about the top of it. Unless you rebuild it, you can put a capped on former in it and feed it a little more than that. But the biggest enemy of the speaker is heat. So, I wouldn't worry as much about putting like 50 watts into it as I would about putting 5 watts into it. 5 watts will heat that coil up and not excite the speaker enough to actually move the air around it to help cool that coil off. So, yeah, I mean, I don't see why you couldn't hook the Vibrachamp to the Leslie. Why not? The standalone one I built came out of, I think it was a Con organ. It was Leslie licensed technology, and with this styrofoam rotor. I built a box for it with ports, and I put an 8-inch, I think it was an Eminence driver on it, and we used to run it with a 100-watt solid state, and then later on a 50-watt tube head. And, fucking sounds kick-ass though. Or you could put like a tiny amp on it, like a Champ kind of thing, and run line level into that and get some really fucking dirty, like, warble vocals out of it. It's a lot of fun. The only bitch with those Leslies is they run the rope. It's like a rope belt. And when they're that old, usually that belt either doesn't tighten up enough or only gets barely tight enough to continue running that unit consistently. So you may have to look into a new belt for that. But, I imagine you could probably make that out of, some big ass rubber bands or something. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's just got to be enough friction for the motor to stay engaged with the drum. But yeah, I'd say go for that shit. Or if you think you're going to keep the organ together, you could put a switching jack in on that speaker too. So that when you plug in, it disconnects that speaker from the amp. Oh, it's got the 2-speed in it too? Yeah, mine didn't have that. I was looking, when I had that still, I was looking at putting a 2-speed motor in it. So with the 2-speed motor, you just got to make sure that it has like a slip drive that changes the speed. You just got to make sure the rubber tire on that's still in good shape. But yeah, I would say go for it. But I hear you on tearing apart the organ. A friend of mine had a Hammond E100 organ, I think it was called. It's in 1964 or 5. It was in his basement, and it was in great shape. It worked fine. It was down there as part of his recording studio, and it went into disuse. Nobody had touched it in years, and he decided he wanted that corner for something else. So he called me like the junk man was coming for it and asked me if I wanted anything out of it. So I ended up getting several chassis full of transformers and tubes and parts and shit. But same thing. Like if I had a place to put that, I would have taken the whole organ. But 400-pound behemoth full of wood and tubes, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do with that. And my studio's upstairs, so It's not like it was going to get carried up those stairs anytime soon. You know, sometimes the sacrifice is worth it. I mean, if you can come up with projects that can be fed with whatever the parts are inside of that thing, then I say go for it. But hey, Jason, the main transformer is weird. I assume this thing is it tube, Matt, or is it solid state? Most of the solid state ones had like 3 or 4 different power supply lines for different things. The tube ones often had 5 or 6 taps for whatever. You know, I have transformers in the house now that, okay, early solid state. I would test those windings and see what they are. I have transformers in the house now, power transformers out of Con organs and Lowry organs, and trying to remember what Baldwin. Baldwins are my favorite, but you'll find taps on those that, you know, they'll be meant for power and tube stuff, but there'll also be like a 36-volt pair of, you know, legs coming out of it, and I have one in the house that has like a pair of 17-volt legs coming out. Who the fuck knows for what? But they, you know, it's fun stuff to play with. I rebuilt a Polytone Brute that somebody had stolen the power amp out of. I built a tube chassis for it, and I needed a transformer that would supply not only the tubes but also the preamp, because the preamp was still solid state. And one of those Baldwin transformers from like 1958 or something ended up as the heart of that thing, and it's still rocking. Got a massive output in the back. Nice. Massive output what, Matt? 2x2 inch output transformer? Experimental musical instruments, huh? I never even heard of that. That was an 80s magazine though? US or? Yeah, massive output transformer on. Huh. Massive output transformer on a solid state power section is kind of odd. It's pretty rare that you see a transformer coupled transistor output. Usually they have like a common emitter set up that pushes. Yeah, I mean, I'm into the DIY and experimental stuff, so yeah, that sounds like it'd be pretty cool. Never heard of that magazine though. Interesting. I have to do some Google work when I get done on the stream tonight. I might have to run out for just a second and grab a charger cord for my stupid fucking tablet. It's running a bit on the low side. I don't think my phone is going to stay charged if I unplug it. Although, I don't know, maybe it will. What said you're sending too many messages? The chat did? I don't know, that wasn't me. Yeah, that's fucking weird. fucking strange. I don't know why I would do that. So do you have those magazines in hand now? Is it all like synth kind of? Oh, you know, actually, if you're into synths, you'll know this thing. You know a synthesizer called Tonto? You ever hear of that? Stevie Wonder used it and shit. Big, huge fucking thing. So I got an interesting story about that. The guy who built that thing, if you're familiar with it, you should check it. Google it while we're on here if you can. Tonto was built like in the 70s. It takes up like a whole room. It's installed in Canada now. It was built by this guy Malcolm Cecil, and was used most famously, I think, by Stevie Wonder on some of his. I don't know. Like I think it's the sound of like Higher Ground and shit. There's a bunch of songs, but anyway, so I was standing in the mobile station the other day buying my usual cigarettes and coffee, and there's an older guy standing behind me, and I can kind of see him out of the corner of my eye. And I keep looking at him, and as I turn away to exit with my purchase, I say, "Oh, are you Malcolm?" He said, "Yeah, I'm Malcolm." And it was the fucking guy that built that Tonto synthesizer, standing behind me in the line of mobile. I talked to him for a couple seconds about that and asked him where it was and if it was still working and if he was still building synths, and told me that it was in Canada and that it was still working and it was installed and that he is in fact still building synthesizers. So interesting stuff. You never know who you're going to run into in the damnedest of places. Seemed like a nice guy. I did not expect him to be English, but yeah, kinda. But he's been in Saugerties for, actually. I've had his phone number for a long time. I just never called him. I should have called him while Tonto was still in his garage. But, yeah, pretty interesting stuff, man. It's like some iconic synth sounds that guy built. And he's old now. He's got to be pushing like late 80s. Anyway, that was probably the biggest excitement of the whole week, meeting that guy real quick. Yeah. So I don't know, while this tablet's still alive, maybe I'll try to give Mike a shout and see if we can get him, do a little check-in with him. I don't know, the speakerphone's probably going to dick me around again this week, but we can try it. So what I decided I would try to do is, there's another phone in this house that's wired. So I think I'm going to try to call Mike from the wired phone and leave that off the hook while I put the call through on the speaker. That way if the speaker drops out, we don't lose them. So yeah, let me try that real quick. Alright, so we got him keyed in on the landline. Let's see if we can get it to, there?
Yo, Mike, what up?
Yo! So,
What's going on?
can you guys hear Mike?
Now, what up, Dash man?
Yeah, so, I don't know how long this phone's gonna let us do this, but we'll try it. So what's going on, man?
World. What's going on in the world?
Not too much. Chat, just talking about what they've been working on and what's going on and shit. So I figured I'd check in with you. And my tablet's a little low on battery, so I'm probably gonna end up having to cut off early tonight. So
Okay.
figured we touch base now. But so yeah, still online for back on the live stream next week, right?
Oh, hell yeah, hell yeah. We'll definitely be back next week, man.
All right. Well, that's awesome, man.
I'm excited for everybody. I might do it here this Friday. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. So tell everybody if they can't hear me, but definitely stay tuned this Friday.
All right. So Mike says if you can't hear him, that he might be having a video out for you on Friday. Coming up. Coming up.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm excited to come back, man. It's been really fun. I feel like I figured some stuff out personally, and also just in terms of the channel. And I'm really excited to get back into it, man.
Awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what are you up to tonight? You just hanging out, having some dinner and shit, or what?
Yep.
Oh. Motherfucker. You there? Hold on, there you go. You there?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Okay. It fucking cut out again for whatever reason.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, I was gonna say my friend Sean's in town, and he surprised me with a visit. He lives on the West Coast, but he's been out here for a little while, so we're just gonna watch a movie or something. We're chilling.
Oh, nice, man. All right. Well, we won't keep you then. But
Well, Doug, dude, I appreciate you checking in, man. I'm excited. Thanks for to say hi to everybody for me, and I hope everybody's doing well. Everybody's doing something they want to do, man.
yeah. Well, I hope the same thing, man. So, all right. They got the message, man. So I'll let you get back to it. But thanks for letting us check in, and
Yeah, hell yeah.
and I guess we'll see you next week, man.
Yeah, man. You and me, buddy. Live streaming next week. Let's do it.
All right. Hell yeah, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. It'll be good to catch up.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, man. So I'll let you go.
All right, buddy.
All right. Peace out.
Have a good night. Good night, Cat fam.
All right, so we'll just have our quick minute with Mike because this fucking phone's a pain in the ass. But yeah, so that's where it's at. Uh-oh. Battery saver turned on. It's a bad thing. So yeah, what else is going on out there? I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely looking forward to getting back on stream with Mike and having the live banter. Sitting in a house by yourself, talking to a screen is always a bit unsettling for me. So it'd be a good thing to have him back and see him come out of social media blackout. But everybody got to do what they got to do, I guess. So yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's like I think I'm gonna call it at about 8 o'clock. It's like 7:55 right now. Let it hang for a couple more minutes, but this fucking tablet's gonna die, and I don't have a charger for it. So once that happens, I got no way to monitor the chat unless I stand behind the phone, which kind of defeats the purpose. But yeah, I mean, I've also been working on getting the money up for Final Cut, so I can start doing more fucking videos and getting shit out there like that. Really want to be able to actually provide some of my own content on things that maybe don't pertain to just, you know, the 424 stuff, the recording things. But what the fuck is that? Uh-oh. Totally weird, man. Fucking ghost in the machine or something. I have like a 5-point flicker flash on my screen right now. It's fucking weird. Oh, my goddamn top chat again. Useless. So yeah, I don't know. I think I call it. And remember, we'll be back on Mike's channel, the normal routine, next Wednesday, 7 o'clock. I think we're coming to you from New Paltz next week, as long as it doesn't fucking snow. Yeah. Well, that's all good. No worries. The battery on this thing's about to die too, so shit, 5%, huh? So yeah, I think we'll just pick it up next Wednesday and you know, be back on with Mike and get some of that banter going and shit. But keep the emails coming and keep doing something you want to do every day. And yeah, be good to each other and keep it fucking real. So yeah, I'm gonna sign off and how to mount an ISO image. I do not. I do not. I could ask Mike about that though and have him email you, or you can email him. Yeah, you can email me too. I'll do some research on it, whatever. But yeah. All right, so I'm gonna pull it before this thing dies, and hope you all have a good rest of your night and good rest of your week. If you're in a place that's getting snow right now or about to get snow, be safe out there, be smart, stay warm, and catch us next week, 7 p.m. 424 recording channel. All right.